Before a single drop of rain ever fell from the sky, the ancient world was already drowning. It was not drowning in the deep water, but in something far colder and much terrifying. It was drowning in its own hatred. Imagine a breathtaking, beautiful world where a simple word, love, had been completely erased from human memory, where neighbor turned against neighbor, and the peaceful paradise the Creator had crafted was stained with endless echoing cruelty. The most shocking part was that no one even seemed to care. No one expected for one quiet man and sorrowful Creator who was looking down from the heavens, preparing to do the absolute unthinkable. He was going to completely unmark the world just so he could save it.
Long ago, in a time so ancient that the world was still very young, things had gone terribly wrong. The earth itself was deeply beautiful, filled with towering green trees, wide sweeping valleys, and bright, clear rivers, but the hearts of the people who lived there had grown heavy, cold, and dark. They had forgotten about love, they had forgotten about simple kindness, and most of all, they had forgotten about the majestic Creator who had made everything so perfectly in the beginning. Every single day, the world became noisier with anger, selfishness, and cruelty. Up in the quiet, peaceful heavens, the Creator watched the earth he loved so much, and a deep, heavy sorrow filled his heart. He saw that the beautiful world he had spoken into existence was breaking itself apart, and he knew that something drastic had to be done to wash away the overwhelming darkness and start the story of humanity all over again. But in the middle of all that terrible noise and anger, there was one quiet, gentle man who lived differently. His name was Noah. Noah was completely different from everyone else because his heart was still soft. He still listened to the gentle whisper of the wind, and he still walked closely and faithfully with the Creator. One day, when the world around him seemed darker and louder than ever before, a powerful, mysterious voice spoke right to Noah's spirit. It was a voice that felt as heavy as the deepest thunder rolling over the hills, but also as comforting as a warm, safe embrace. The Creator told Noah a secret that was both terrifying and wonderfully hopeful. A great, cleansing flood was coming, a mighty rush of water that would cover even the highest mountain peaks and wash the entire earth clean of its cruelty. However, the Creator was not going to let the spark of life go out forever, and he gave Noah a monumental, seemingly impossible mission to save it. Noah was commanded to build an ark, a ship so gigantic and massive that no human eye had ever seen anything like it before. This great wooden vessel was not meant to sail gracefully across a sea, but to float safely and securely when the entire world turned into a raging ocean. The Creator gave Noah very careful, precise instructions, telling him exactly how long, how wide, and how tall to build it, and commanding him to cover the wood inside and out with thick, sticky pitch so that not a single drop of the deep waters could get inside. And so, with a faithful heart, Noah and his small family went to work. Imagine the cinematic sight of this tiny family cutting down massive, ancient trees, the heavy, rhythmic thud of their tools echoing strangely across the dusty, dry land. People from all around came to watch this bizarre sight, laughing loudly and pointing fingers at Noah because there was absolutely no water anywhere nearby, and the sky above them was completely clear and blue. They thought he had lost his mind building a ship in the dirt. But Noah did not stop to argue, and he did not let their cruel laughter slow his hands. Day after day, month after month, and year after year, he kept building. He chopped the wood, shaped the enormous beams, and sealed the cracks, choosing to listen to the powerful promise he held inside his heart, rather than the empty mockery of the world, slowly and steadily preparing for the great, terrifying mystery that was about to fall from the sky. The day finally came, when the massive wooden vessel was completely finished, standing tall and dark against the dry earth like a strange, silent mountain waiting for a purpose. Suddenly, a very unusual hush fell over the entire world. The wind completely stopped blowing, The leaves stopped their gentle rustling, and even the people who had been laughing so loudly at Noah suddenly felt a cold, strange shiver run down their spines. Out of the deep shadows of the ancient forests, across the wide dusty plains, and down from the high, hidden mountain peaks, a miraculous and completely silent parade began to move. Two by two, guided by a quiet, unseen hand that seemed to whisper directly to their instincts, animals of every shape, size, and color started walking steadily toward the great wooden ship. There were mighty, heavy-footed elephants whose steps made the ground tremble, quiet, graceful deer with large, wondering eyes, tiny creeping insects, and brilliantly colored birds that filled the darkened sky with the soft, rushing flutter of thousands of wings. They did not fight with each other, and they did not roar or growl in anger. Instead, they moved with a deep, peaceful understanding of the mystery that was unfolding, marching straight up the heavy wooden ramp and into the safe, shadowy belly of the ark. Once Noah, his family, and every single creature had stepped out of the fading light and into the vessel, a sound echoed across the land that no one would ever forget, a deep, final groan of heavy timber as the massive door of the ark swung shut all by itself, sealed completely tight by the very hand of the Creator, so that the world outside was locked away. Then, the clear blue sky, which had watched over the earth for so long, began to bruise with dark, angry purples and heavy, unnatural blacks, blocking out the sun entirely. The eerie quiet was suddenly shattered by a crack of thunder, so loud and powerful that it shook the very foundation of the earth, and the first heavy, freezing drops of rain finally began to fall. But it was not just rain falling from the thick clouds. The ancient, hidden springs of the deep underground burst open with unimaginable force, sending massive, roaring geysers of water shooting up into the darkened air to meet the storm above. The waters rose with a terrifying speed, violently swallowing the green valleys, the tall ancient trees, the high mountain peaks, and the empty laughter of those who had mocked the builder, leaving absolutely nothing behind but the endless, roaring waves. Inside the dark, swaying ship, it was frightening to hear the thundering chaos of the water crashing against the wood. But as the great ark was gently lifted higher and higher up onto the terrifying ocean, Noah and his family held onto each other, realizing that in the middle of the greatest storm the world had ever seen, they were being perfectly and safely cradled in the hands of the one who had promised to save them. For many long days and nights, the great ark was tossed upon the endless, dark ocean, but slowly, the terrifying roar of the wind began to quiet down, and the heavy, pounding rain finally faded into a gentle, slow drizzle before stopping completely. A deep, profound silence wrapped around the massive wooden ship as it drifted over a world that was completely hidden beneath the still waters. The Creator had not forgotten Noah, nor the precious cargo of life breathing safely inside the ark, and he sent a warm, strong wind to sweep across the watery earth, slowly and steadily, pushing the great floods back down into the deep. After weeks of patiently waiting in the quiet shadows, Noah and his family felt a sudden, heavy shudder beneath their feet as the great ship finally came to a gentle rest, settling firmly and safely on the high, hidden peaks of ancient mountains. Knowing it was almost time to step out into the light, Noah opened a high window and released a dark, strong-winged raven, which flew back and forth across the skies, waiting for the waters to dry. But it did not bring back any news. Wanting to know if the lower valleys were safe, Noah then gently held a beautiful white dove in his hands and sent her fluttering out into the bright, clear air. But the tired little bird soon returned to him, because there was still no dry place for her to land. He waited patiently for 7 more days before sending the sweet dove out once again, and this time, as the evening sun began to paint the sky with golden light, she returned, carrying something completely miraculous in her beak. A fresh, bright green olive leaf. That tiny, simple leaf was the most beautiful thing Noah had ever seen, because it was a quiet, living message that the waters had finally fallen. The ancient trees were breathing once again, and the earth was ready to welcome them back. When the ground was finally dry and firm, the invisible, guiding hand of the Creator opened the heavy wooden door, and a brilliant flood of warm sunlight poured into the ark, inviting the animals to step out into a newly washed and deeply quiet world. Noah, his family, and all the creeping, walking, and flying creatures made their way down the great ramp with hearts full of wonder, breathing in the fresh, sweet smell of damp earth and green grass, completely amazed by the second chance they had been given. Out of deep, overwhelming gratitude, Noah built a quiet altar of stones on the mountaintop and offered a heartfelt prayer of thanks to the Creator, who had kept them safely held through the darkest storm in human history. In that very moment, the Creator smiled down upon the healing earth and stretched a massive, glowing bow of breathtaking colors across the rain-washed clouds. A magnificent rainbow acting as a beautiful, eternal promise that He would never again let the deep waters destroy the world.
The lesson we learn is that this ancient story is more than just a tale of a massive wooden boat and endless rain. It is a powerful reminder that even when the world around us feels dark, noisy, and completely overwhelming, there is always a place for those who keep their hearts gentle and faithful. In our everyday lives, we sometimes face terrible and unexpected storms, moments of sadness, heavy fears, and difficult changes that feel like massive, crashing waves threatening to pull us under the water. But just as Noah was safely carried through the absolute darkest moments by trusting the Creator and quietly doing exactly what was right, we too can find a quiet strength inside ourselves to build our own inner ark of hope, patience, and unshakable love. So, thank you for watching right here on Ancient Bible Stories, and we love to hear where you are watching from. And don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment what you have learned from this story. See you next time.